So I'm a perfectionist. I didn't ask to be perfect, and I'm not, because I can't be, but I have to be. I don't want to wear clothes unless they fit perfectly, so I don't wear them. I know that I'll be small forever if I don't have exactly the right amount of protein, and I'll probably get fat if I have too much. I'm sure I could be perfect at playing guitar if I practiced enough, but that would cause me to be imperfect along the way, so that defeats the point. If my hair isn't perfectly styled without looking like I tried too hard, then I have to wear a hat. But I can't wear a hat, because then my outfit won't be perfect. And I've tried everything to fix this problem. Except I haven't actually started trying yet because I don't want to start perfecting my perfectionism until I can do it perfectly. Alright, I'll let you decide how much of that is true, but that's a glimpse of what goes on in my head when I constantly have a voice telling me that everything I do has to be held to the highest standard. And according to a recent study that spanned 27 years, as much as 33% of people exhibit perfectionist tendencies. So this characteristic is much bigger than me or any of us, and it's important that we examine just how this is affecting our mental health and our ability to be productive. And yes, I do wear clothes. Sometimes. Now, perfectionism can often be looked at as a positive trait, a persistent drive to improve at all aspects of life, a dedicated work ethic, and a nagging ambition to succeed and accomplish the most that we possibly can. These are good qualities to have, and if we're able to apply these over our entire lives, there should be no limit on what we're able to achieve, and we can also motivate the people around us who are inspired by our passion and success. But the reality is that applying your perfectionist qualities is not linear, and comes with a lot of moments of doubt and self-criticism. And the worst part is that even when you finally hand in that assignment or finish that project that you put so much time and effort into, somebody else might not think that it's perfect, and you might look on it the next day and wish you had done something differently. So then we start falling to the negative aspects of always striving for perfection. When you expect so much out of yourself all the time, it's a lot easier to look down on yourself when you don't succeed the way you thought you would. Often our desire for success is intertwined with our desire not to fail, even though failure is normal and it's a great lesson. And without acknowledging this, perfectionists tend not to learn from their failures because they're too focused on beating themselves up for not living up to their own expectations. And it's not just ourselves that we look down upon when we're not perfect. Perfectionists have a tendency to hold others to the same impossibly high standards that they set for themselves. And this might be the most toxic part of perfectionism because it can completely destroy your friendships and relationships. You're never going to see fully eye to eye with someone or agree with everything somebody else has to say, and your view of what perfect is or what success is might be different than someone else's. You're not perfect, neither are they, but we can still support our peers and celebrate their successes without applying our impossibly high standards onto them. Now, why do perfectionists have all these crazy standards? Well, yeah, a lot of it's made up in our heads, but also there's the impact of societal pressures that are increased with social media. It's easy to go on Instagram and see everyone completing their master's degree or affording these nice things or going on these fancy vacations, but what people post online is just the highlights of their lives and doesn't tell their full story. We're all going at our own pace, and we don't have to compare ourselves to others, especially not comparing ourselves to the distorted view of reality that social media is. This distortion is compounded when a lot of people unfortunately grew up with parents who berated them and made them feel inadequate if they didn't get straight A's in school or go into a specific career path. And this breaks my heart. And if this is the reason that you're always striving for perfection, make sure you're doing what you want to do for you and not what somebody else wants you to do. And for people who excelled in school, this became the baseline of expectation for their future. And then if you find yourself in your mid-20s or 30s and you're not exactly as far along in life as you imagined, you're not only holding yourself to society standards or the standards you were raised by, but you also don't feel like you're as good as you used to be. This is a crippling mental downfall that can take you all the way to rock bottom. And this is also why a lot of people who have perfectionist qualities also have symptoms of depression. And the mental health consequences don't end there. For people who are hyper-focused on perfection with their bodies, a simple slip-up in someone's diet or fitness routine could lead to body dysmorphia and eating disorders. Okay, so I'm not saying perfectionism is inherently good or bad. It's something I've dealt with my whole life and I've really struggled with it. Now, on one hand, it helps me because I feel confident that whenever I do something, I'll do it well. But on the other hand, it's also prevented me from taking on new challenges and going after my ambitions because I constantly have that fear of failure screaming at the back of my head. I try to look at perfectionism as similar to the happiness paradox. It's good to want to be happy, but if all we ever strive for is that end goal, we'll constantly push the goalpost further forward every time we reach it, and we'll never allow ourselves to feel happy in the present moment. And in the same way, it's good to strive for the best that we can possibly achieve, but when we're always looking at the end goal as something needing to be perfect, we're going to keep pushing that goalpost forward of what perfect really means. When we keep pushing these goals and ideals further forward, we can prevent ourselves from pursuing our dreams and ambitions and fail to complete tasks at all because we're too hung up on making sure that we can do things perfectly before we even start them. I know this all too well because I've wanted to make YouTube videos for 6 or 7 years now, but it was never the right time in my head because I would never be able to make the videos consistently look as polished and pretty as a short film that would take over a year to make. But in order to live with our perfectionism, we have to learn to forgive ourselves for flaws and understand the reality is that nothing will ever be perfect. And most of the time, doing something imperfectly is much better than not doing the thing at all. So how do we push ourselves past this perfectionist barrier? Well, we can start by practicing self-forgiveness and writing down and acknowledging accomplishments that we're proud of. And if we can try to complete tasks without thinking of their outcome and their end goal, over time, we'll be able to see that a little bit of imperfection isn't going to kill us. Even the Earth isn't perfect, and it doesn't orbit the sun precisely in 365 days, so every 4 years we have to jack up our calendar to account for that. And if this beautiful Earth isn't perfect, we certainly can't expect ourselves or anyone else to be. Alright, if you're tired of hearing variations of the word perfect, give me a thumbs up because I'm sick of saying it too. And if you've also struggled with applying yourself due to the weight of perfectionism, feel free to leave your story in the comments. Thanks for watching, and take care.